e.g. Operation Wealth Creation, PDM, 46 million people. The literacy rate has also improved from 43% in 1986 to 80% now. At the beginning, there were 90%. At the beginning, there were 90%. These few illustrations show that implementing the mass line programs is the most effective way of triggering socio-economic transformation. Regional markets such as East African Community, COMESA, among others, and international markets. Number 6, skilling our youth through the zone of challenge government. And I thank the Parliament here, challenge government. And I thank the Parliament here, as you heard the Speaker was listing those bills which you passed, which enabled this rationalization to take place. Fighting corruption, Sudan, Khartoum, and Somalia. These include influx of refugees and asylum seekers, illegal immigrants, and Ramoja sub-region, despite pockets of criminality in the form of livestock thieves. The government continues to modernize, have been thwarted and defeated. We were organizing the construction of the 1,443 East African crude oil pipeline from Burisa on Lake Albert to Tanga. City, schools, hospitals, and agriculture have continued to be implemented despite the World Bank and the USA that in dollar terms, the size of the economy has expanded nearly 15 times. Since the our parity terms, our economy is projected to be US dollars. Our parity terms, our economy is projected to be US dollars 171.6 billion by the end of this financial year. In June 2020, inclusive and pro-poor. The latest National Housing Survey report took a measure used to determine the extent of income inequality within a population has reduced 38%. Foreign direct investment inflows are projected at US $3.8 billion, while tourism over the last 10 years, government has injected 8 trillion. Business Recovery Fund, 100 billion. 6, Agriculture Credit Facility, 495 billion. Youth Venture, industrial products such as cement, Uganda, US dollars 3, consumer goods and services have remained low, averaging 3.4% in the past 12 months, in the consumer prices of sugar by 10.8% in April, from export of beef to the Middle East, which has increased demand. This is good for the cattle keepers up to March 2024. This was mainly in mining, transport, manufacturing of the public institutions. As a result, the revenue collection capacity has improved. Number one, enhancing efforts to fight corruption at the URA through areas. 4, adopting specific tax duties to address under-declaration of values, particularly in the manufacturing, conducted by the Harvard Economic Classification of our exports. Manufacturing is the answer to the challenge of unemployment. Number 2, pharmaceutical companies producing 4 million single HIV pills and 2 million other medicines per year. Number 3, international markets per year. Create without restriction. Identify agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development including oil and gas, and mineral development including oil and gas, and science, irrigation potential of 3 million hectares. We have got 3 million hectares which can be irrigated. And here we have only irrigated 23,000 hectares of the 3 million. In order to achieve this goal, Kakumiro ETC, the new solar-powered irrigation schemes have benefited 110,000 farmers, and production yield from 112 schemes has increased to 3,600 tons per season. NAPAC, ABIM ETC. In Nakaseke district, the construction works for Kirema, phase 1, a medium-scale irrigation scheme, have been completed, thus adding a total of 124 hectares and benefiting 50 farmers engaged in coffee growing at 70%. Kaumu irrigation scheme. The Mu irrigation scheme. This is in rural. Atari irrigation scheme in Kwen Bramburi district, covering 680 hectares. Nigeria. These countries are now buying our powdered milk. From all the water bodies. Has steadily increased since government deployed armed forces. To assist in fisheries. To the 12 factories which are now processing fish. Many of these had closed. I will meet the fisheries on gazetting of fish breeding grounds. Ebyondo. To 8.2 million bags in the financial year 2023-2024. The performance government has provided by farmers, increased value addition by private sector, and increased vigilance by government. and vector control. Number 7, supporting vertical and horizontal value addition for production of high-value multi-input products such as nutritional foods, baby foods that use several products like milk, eggs, maize, vegetables, fruits, etc. We must add value to all these products which we are producing now. The eggs, if the eggs are too many, where will you put them? The internal market may not be enough, and the regional market may not be enough. So the answer is to produce baby foods, nutritional foods, so that we can export to the international markets. Number 8, extension services. Number 9, investment in fertilizer production. Number 10, certification and regulation of agricultural inputs and provision of appropriate finance for the various components of the agricultural value chain, among others. Government has introduced the large-scale commercial farmers interest-free credit facility of shillings 175 billion. The money is accessed through government-owned commercial banks. These are Post Bank, Housing Finance Bank, and Pride Bank Limited. This enables large-scale farmers to access mechanization in order to boost agricultural-based exports. The parish development model. The parish development model is now in its 3rd year of implementation. By the end of this financial year, in June 2025, shilling 3.3 trillion will have been provided to piggery, beekeeping, etc. In Iksoro, some of the PDM beneficiaries earned between 16 to 20 million shillings from onions over a period of 2 years, using the initial seed capital of just 1 million shillings. Tourism receipts were valued at US dollars 1.4 billion in calendar year 2024. This is a significant recovery from US dollars 562 million in 2020 when we had the corona shutdown. The good performance is attributed to the sustainable peace and security, increased competitiveness of Uganda's tourism industry through marketing and the government investment in strategic tourism infrastructure. To support tourism, the government has provided adequate security, physical infrastructure, and supported the tourist companies with tax relief. Government is strengthening economic and commercial diplomacy through our embassies or missions abroad to promote tourism in addition to mobilizing foreign direct investment and enabling penetration into export markets. Uganda's proactive support for meetings, innovations, conferences and exhibitions, and our participation in global tourism expos resulted in hosting 267,000 tourists in wildlife protected areas. Government has maintained 1,200 kilometers of trail tracks and roads in the national parks. An important aspect in tourism promotion is adherence to the international standards in terms of grading of accommodation facilities, such as hotels and restaurants, hygiene and sanitation facilities, and access to cheap and stable communication facilities and the internet. In this regard, the government is upgrading the internet gateways to reduce the internet costs and increase the speed of internet connections. The priority areas for tourism development next financial year and in the medium term include: number one, branding and marketing of Uganda as a tourism and investment destination. Number two, infrastructure development and construction of sanitation infrastructure in tourism sites. Number three, construction of refreshment centers and highway road signage and sanitary facilities. Number five, improving tourism security. Number five, hospitality standards and training. On the side of minerals, Uganda has got a number of mineral resources in almost all parts of the country. These include oil and gas reserves, beryl, chromite, lead, lithium, silver, zinc, kyanite, feldspar and diatomite, manganese, diamonds, uranium, iron ore, vermiculite, limestone and marble, gold, graphite, aluminium clay rich in rare earth elements, phosphates, and iron ore in Muko, from which you can make high-quality steel and sand. From these resources, Uganda has the opportunity to industrialize quickly with acquisition of technology and specialized skills development, which is tailored to industrialization. Until recently, when we started refining gold, our minerals were being exported in raw form. We were exporting raw materials. Africans who are here, please, from other countries, this is the disease of Africa. Exporting raw materials. Matière primaire, français. Very bad material primaire. Yeah. This means we are donating all the benefits, such as jobs and money, to other countries. I don't have time to give, like if you take iron ore, at one time, if you would export a ton of iron ore, they would give you $47. At that time, the one who processed the iron ore into a ton of steel, $100. You get $47. The cleverer for cleverer than you. Are available for his children when your own children have no jobs. Government has stopped, I have banned completely the export of unprocessed minerals. Some of the people wanted to kill me. I say, you kill me, but I will not. In Tororo, where we have got large deposits of limestone, and Kabale, where we have got iron ore, the government has facilitated the use of these minerals for making cement and steel, respectively. In Kabale, we have put in place the infrastructure for mining the iron ore, from which domestic steel manufacturers have started making high-quality steel. There are now 10 gold refineries in the country, producing gold which is refined to 99.9% purity. There are gold mining activities in Busia by a Chinese company called Wagagai, and the government embarked on the registration of artisanal miners in Buhweju, Busia, Mubende, Kasanda, and Karamoja. Registration will be expanded to cover all artisanal mining areas in the country. In Moyo, there are gold reserves and a huge limestone deposit apparently, which is raw material for cement production. Madi, Manzora, we currently have 3 cement manufacturing plants, namely Tororo, Hima, and Simba Cement, and high-quality tin smelting plant in Barara with an annual capacity of 1,600 tons. A number of cement factories are coming up in Karamoja. Government is also facilitating the establishment of a modern mineral laboratory in Entebbe, which is in the final stages of accreditation to international standards. This financial year, the government started the capitalization of the Uganda National Mining Company. This company will take an equity stake up to 15% in all medium-scale and large-scale strategic mining operations in the country. This is to ensure that as we attract foreign direct investment capital, the country benefits directly in addition to monitoring what is happening in the sector. The company will be capitalized to a tune of Uganda shillings 500 billion over a 5-year period. Oil and gas. With regard to oil and gas production, the government is investing in the requisite infrastructure for commercial production. Kabale International Airport is near completion, and 700 kilometers of tarmac roads have been constructed. The civil works for ECOP, East African Crude Pipeline, are scheduled for completion next financial year, both in Uganda and Tanzania. The Uganda National Oil Company commenced the petroleum bulk trading business in August 2024. The objective is to ensure security of fuel supply, reduction in the petroleum pump prices, and ensure quality of petroleum products on the market. This initiative the government started implementing reduction in fuel pump. We rejected of a whole country like Uganda buying petroleum products from middle people. We are buying petroleum for Uganda, Republic of Uganda, member of United Nations, from middlemen. Can you imagine? And you know, in these ministries, there are people called commissioners. Have you heard of them? Commissioner of ignorance of what? So when I came to know, I said, this will not happen. Why not buy from refiners? Don't you know where the refineries are? Or the bulk suppliers? You can't believe it. Africa is really a continent of wonders. A whole country buying petroleum from middlemen. I didn't know this. And I was sitting there, president. In the minerals sector, government investment next financial year, commencing the construction of the Kabarega Industrial Park to attract petrochemical industries, among others. Science, technology, and Kira. Freeze it there. Kakabagira bire dala. La baba no. Bagiteka ko ne bajjaku. Aha, you leave it there. Freeze it there. Now, those buses are electric buses manufactured by your children here. From zero to the whole thing. They are called Kira. Kira is our name for the Nile. The Nile, other people call it Nile, but for us we call it Kira. Even the South Sudanese, they use the same name. That's why His Excellency Salva Kiir. Salva Kiir means the Nile. Kira vehicle plant in Jinja, which has an annual capacity of 2,500 vehicles and employment potential of 12,000 direct and indirect workers. There are 39 buses operating on our roads from Kira, and 30 buses are under production. The plant has got cancer treatment technology based on the gene therapy, a highly potent gene therapy technology for red blood cells generation by the bone marrow, and mRNA vaccine. Developing the vaccines of the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever and the Rift Valley virus. Number 4, accreditation of the Alphasan vaccine manufacturing facility to produce anti-tick vaccines for the second phase of clinical trials. Number 5, Professor Wang's clinical trials of his natural therapeutics. He's also establishing an international certified production facility in Soroti Industrial Park. Number 6, the PCR kit developed by scientists at Makerere University to conduct more than 2 million tests at 50% of the cost of imported alternatives. This has saved the country US$ 37 million in imports per year. Number 7, Guru University developed highly effective rapid test kits to crop diseases for cassava and sweet potatoes. Number 8, the Engineering Development and Innovation Centers in Rebtete, Chirhura District, and Namamvi are enhancing capacity for industrial technology, metallurgy, electrical and electronics, civil technology, agricultural mechanization, and construction machinery. The presidential initiative on banana industrial development plant in Bushenyi. Can you show us that one? Bushenyi banange, mujana Bushenyi banange. Not to die from heart attacks, you take our bananas. They have got potassium for your heart muscles. The presidential initiative on banana industrial development, PBID plant in Bushenyi, has significantly increased commercial production capacity to 140 metric tons of fresh matoke. Matoke is what we call bananas in our language, per day. The plant has sale orders from the Royal Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Italy. Over the last 17 years, the NRM government has prioritized infrastructure development, especially the roads, the railways, and electricity. We now have a solid foundation to support industrial development. All parts of the country, Yumbe, Happy? Oh. Are my Yumbes happy? Aha. 56. Bulopa, Kamuri, Jinja. Mwebale ino 127 kilometers. Mbulamuti, Kamuri Bukungu. At long last. 10 kilometers, Jinja City roads. 115 kilometers, Kitugum Kidepo. Apoyo, apoyo, apoyo. Apoyo, apoyo, apoyo. $88 kilometers, Ishashakatunguru Road. 88 kilometers, Ishashakatunguru Road. Mwebale mnonga kilometers. Rakara noi. 25 kilometers, Buburo, Bududa Circular Road, Hakagutako Banange. Abamasaba. 21 kilometers, Mbale Nkokonjeru Road. Banange. 46.6 kilometers, Kawohe, Nyakambu, Buzuwera, with a branch to Nyakshenyi and another one to Kevsoni. Abahorra bakiga tinda basa kubebwa Lyantonde, Lumbugu, Rakai. Abakochi bafe eyo munde eyo Sembabule, Matete, Mbirizi, with a branch to Kibinge, Chavakuza. Myanzi, Kasanda, Kiboga. Abantu bange bekasanda mu akaluru mukatereze utereza akaluru eyo. Chikagate, Kitwe, Mirama Hill. Mama was about to kill me on this one here. Katumponye. Kabingo, Rugaga, Magabi, Rakai. Ruero, Butarangwa, Ngoma, Buyamshenyi, Masindi. Kayunga, Bade, Galilaya. I'm going to get additional money for these roads because we have been talking about them for a long time. This will be in addition to completion of the following roads. 92 kilometer Muyembe na Kapiripirit and 25 kilometer of service roads. 21 kilometer Kira, Matuga Road, and improvement of the 5 junctions. 26 kilometers of Tororo Busia Road, and Mayuge and Busia Town Roads. 6.6 kilometers Kawuku Werenga Road. 100 kilometers Apache Rira Poranga. These are already being worked on. They are going to be finished. And 1.6 kilometers to Namagonde Bugiri Fuel Tank Reservoir. The roads for maintenance or reconstruction include Kampala Jinja Highway, 72 kilometers, Busunju Chiboga Hoima, 145 kilometers, Mubende Road, Mitiana Mbende Road, 86 kilometers, and Mubende Chenjojo Road. Mubende Chenjojo Road, 95 kilometers. Mitiana Town Road, 14 kilometers. Abe Mitiana Mtereza Karuru Banange. Buno busajja buliyeyo tubona kye bukola butabula. Mugenda muleta obusajja sajja buliyeyo. Arui Nebi Road, 33 kilometers. This is in West Nile. Pakwacha Nebi Town Roads. Oruyo Pakwacha Road, 62 kilometers. Matugasemu toka Peka, 41 kilometers. Wali akasajja eyo nayo nakasiki banange. Akasajja kali abantu bage mutereze ebigambo ebyo. Obusajja bugende bukola ebirala. Matuga Semutoka Peka, Tororo Mbare Soroti. This is a long one. Soroti Dokoro Lira Kamdin Road, 189. These are ongoing already. Karuma Oruyo, 43. Masaka Chotera Mutkura Road, 89. Nyendovira Maria Road, 11 kilometers. Access Road, 7 kilometer rehabilitation of 166 million equivalent of national roads that have reached their service life. What they call service life is ZUKU. The strategic bridges to be prioritized. There's a road in PG Elimonde Jetu Kasanje akatawuna kalala bakita batya Kasanje wa Kisubi waliwo akatawuna eyo munda kalala nakawuka eyo sigirabye wano tulina okugiteekako nayo. Naye abantu batereeza obululu bannange kubanga the strategic bridges, so I will have to add that road. I thought we had started on it. The strategic bridges to be prioritized in the next financial year include Seziwa Bridge along Karagi Kayunga Road, Katonga Bridge, Rueda Swamp, and Kalanda Swamp. Electricity. In 1986, the whole country had only one hydropower plant, Narubari, formerly called Owen Falls Dam, built by the British in 1954 and commissioned by our late auntie, Queen Elizabeth. With the maximum capacity of 150 megawatts of hydroelectricity. There are now 4 large hydropower plants at Narubare, Kira, Isimba, and Karuma, with a combined generation capacity of 1,163 megawatts. Other sources such as Chigwabia, Sabo Konge, solar power in Mbende have added another 888 megawatts. This brings the total installed electricity generation capacity to 2,052 megawatts. However, given the growing electricity demand arising from the new manufacturers, this is very inadequate, and the available capacity will run out in about 5 years from now. So when people talk of surplus, there is no surplus. It will very soon be overtaken. In the past, delayed investment in new electricity generation capacity led to power blackouts, you remember, and affected productivity in the industrial and services sector. To stop this from happening again, the government will commence investment in new hydropower plants at Ayago, in Nwoya District, 840 megawatts, Kiba in Oyam District, 400 megawatts, and Oryang in Nwoya, 382 megawatts. In addition, work is ongoing for the 8,400 megawatts nuclear power plant in Uyende District. All these investments, when completed, will bring Uganda's electricity generation capacity to 12,074 megawatts. But we are aiming at 52,000 megawatts. Human capital. The government continues. Don't mind the long speech. You are the ones who invited me. The government continues to focus on attaining a good standard of health for Ugandans and those living in Uganda. The prevention strategy remains the most powerful tool for fighting diseases. Therefore, I urge all Ugandans to adopt healthy lifestyles by exercising, maintaining personal hygiene, eating nutritious foods, sleeping under a treated mosquito net, refraining from dangerous practices like smoking, sexual promiscuity, etc. While the government is investing in improving the health infrastructure across the country, it is the responsibility of every individual to ensure that they live a clean and safe environment, in a clean and safe environment, and to avoid falling sick. Government has invested in a number of health infrastructure projects. These include infrastructure development for the Uganda Cancer Institute and regional cancer centers, the Uganda Heart Institute, intensive care units, and imaging centers for referral hospitals. Construction of new maternity wards and staff houses in the health center tools that are being upgraded to health center 3s is currently ongoing. This has significantly increased the health facilities in all districts across the country. For example, when I visited Yumbe district recently, I found out that Yumbe alone has 26 health center 3s. This means that our people, especially children and expectant mothers, no longer have to travel long distances when they get sick or when they are going to give birth. This also supports immunization, which helps to raise healthy children and supports the detection of dangerous disease outbreaks before they spread. Government has supported the establishment of a pharmaceutical industrial park at Namanve, which is producing surgical gloves and examination gloves, disposable syringes, human drugs like magnesium sulfate, and the paracetamols. Next financial year, the government will support the construction of specialized centers of excellence for cancer and cardiovascular treatment, among others. Education. The government has introduced reforms in the education sector which are aimed at reorienting the curriculum towards a competency-based approach. This involves equipping learners with practical skills and competencies that are required in the private sector. This will help to reduce unemployment among the school graduates. Government continues to implement the Universal Primary Education Program, reaching 8.8 million learners across 12,433 government-aided primary schools at a sum of Uganda shillings 184 billion. The government, through the school facilitation grant, constructed 413 new classrooms for primary schools, and renovated 181 classrooms. Government procured and distributed 334 sets of mean laboratory equipment to 334 primary government schools to enhance practical science learning and foster early scientific curiosity among young learners. A total of 593 teachers were recruited to facilitate operationalization of the new grant-aided secondary schools in sub-counties. The government has successfully completed the construction of an additional 50 seed secondary schools under the Uganda Intergovernmental Physical Transfers Program, bringing the cumulative total to 161 seed schools out of the 259 planned. The majority of the remaining schools are progressing well and are on the schedule for completion by June 2025. The total number of government-aided primary schools in the country is now 12,550. People normally talk of parishes which don't have government primary schools. But how many parishes are there in Uganda? It is because some of the parishes have got more than one primary school. Otherwise, 12,000 would have covered every parish. Because remember, the villages are 72,000. And there are normally about 5 or 10 villages in a parish. So the primary schools supported by the government are now quite many. But some of the parishes may have more than one. The total number of government-aided secondary schools is 1,416. The technical and vocational schools are 189. And the government degree awarding universities are 12. That is the infrastructure of education in the country now. The proper management of our water and environmental resource is a major contributing factor to public health, agricultural productivity, and climate change adaptation. The National Population and Housing Census Report of 2024 showed that at least 8 in 10 households now have access to improved water sources, i.e. piped water, protected springs, etc. In 1986, only 10%, that is 1 out of 10 households, had access to a clean and safe water source. Today, 81.1% of the households in Uganda are in the radius of 1 kilometer from a safe water source. This is on account of the government's prioritization of the construction of piped water systems in both rural and urban areas. Government has constructed a number of solar-powered piped water systems in the districts of Agago, Aleptong, Kayunga, Mityana, Paderi, etc. There are ongoing construction works in other districts like Buweju for Bisia water supply system, Kasese for Nyamugasani gravity flow scheme, Ora water supply system to serve the districts of Terego, Madio Okolo, and Nebi, among others. Additionally, through the district water and sanitation conditional grant, the local governments have been able to boost access to improved water sources across the country. The local governments have constructed a total of 204 taps, serving 452,000 persons, drilled 709 deep boreholes, serving 212,000 persons, and 128 protected springs, serving 43,000 persons. They have also constructed 109 rainwater harvest tanks, servicing 652 persons, and 79 production wells. A total of 1,333 boreholes and 28 pipe-to-water systems have been rehabilitated across the country, thus restoring service to 417,000 persons. Regional integration. The political balkanization of Africa created small states, many of which have got smaller populations. Uganda, with 46 million people, is one of the bigger states. The solution of this problem is regional integration. The whole of Africa has got a very high population of 1.4 billion people, 1.5 billion. But this population is broken up in small units. Smaller populations mean smaller markets. The problem is compounded by a low purchasing power because of low incomes. So you have got smaller populations with low incomes. How will they support business? There are also problems in the regional market, such as the lack of roads and lack of communication to enable us to fully exploit the regional market. That is why, for instance, Uganda has undertaken the construction of the Mpondwe to Ben Highway to ease connectivity between Congo and Uganda. If we mobilize the whole of Africa to remove all trade barriers, we shall no longer worry about being shut out of markets in Europe or the USA. During the budget, I will speak more about this issue of integration. I think now, let me finish so that people can survive and go home. Mass ID registration. Government through NIRA has started the mass registration exercise of all Ugandans. This important exercise involves replacing the national identity cards that have expired and fresh registration. The IDs will be used to identify voters in the forthcoming elections to prevent fraud. Therefore, I urge all to embrace the registration exercise. Conclusion. As I conclude, so you see patience pays, you have really survived. As I conclude, I wish to reiterate that the NRM is aiming at making Uganda a $500 billion economy in the near future. Increase tourism inflows fivefold by doubling the average spend and average stay time per tourist. Our tourism value chain has a US dollars 50 billion potential. Third is mineral beneficiation and manufacturing, including oil and gas. We are finalizing quantification of our mineral deposits. We must add value to our minerals deposits. We must add value to gold, iron ore, phosphates, limestone, tin, copper and cobalt, lithium, uranium, etc. The confirmed value addition potential for our minerals is US dollars 25 billion. We have also finalized the plans and signed the first contract to build the East Africa's largest petrochemical industry around our oil and gas reserves. The fourth area is science, technology, and innovation, including ICT and digital transformation. What I have said in this long speech is that Uganda is now unstoppable in terms of economic growth and socio-economic transformation. Our security apparatus is also robust. All this is in spite of the mistakes of the careerists that infiltrated the civilian echelons of the NRM and even within the UPDF to some extent. These are normally after personal enrichment and power. They had a bother with salvation policies of $1,263, as already pointed out. It is 63, as already pointed out. It is number 7, Ngurwa Munobi. This is the other language. You know the other language. Akahanjirurwasha, Tukahangurwa Munobi. What God has created cannot be destroyed by haters. Count of 4 factors. These are the correct philosophical, ideological, and strategic position of the NRM, as already pointed out. Number 1. Number 2, the NRA, UPDF, that liberated the country and has ensured peace ever since. Number 3, the wealth creators in the 4 sectors of agriculture, manufacturing, services, and ICT. And number 4, the responsible political actors in the NRM and other groups that have contributed to harmony. These are the 4 that have enabled us to come up. Number 1, our correct stand on philosophy, ideology, strategy. I don't have time to elaborate that, but we have talked about it before. Number 2, the armed forces, UPDF, the NRA, for liberating the country and maintaining peace. Number 3, the wealth creators. The wealth creators, the farmers, the manufacturers, the owners of the services, the ICT. This is why we are strong. We are strong because of the wealth they create. And number 5, the political actors who are positive and support this. Therefore, the careerists who only think of themselves should check themselves. They should not spoil the efforts of the patriots. Here I do not have to talk about the negative opposition elements that work for foreign interests and for the parasitic local interests. Those have failed to block our progress. It is the internal mistakes that must be corrected. Finally, I want to reaffirm the commitment of the NRM government to ensuring that Uganda remains stable and transforms into a modern, prosperous country. I wish all Ugandans a peaceful election season. In the coming session of Parliament, the government will present to you for consideration the following bills. They are here. Let me see. Piruano. Can't be so me. Kagutas paid my school fees. The bills. Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, the Building Substances Bill, 2022. Information and Communications Bill, 2023. Mr. Scott Bill, 2024. Amendment Bill for the Universities and Other Tertiary Institutions, 201. Amendment of the Education Act, 208. The Curriculum Assessment and Admissions. Uganda Intelligence Services Policy Framework, 2024. Principles for Drafting the Unclaimed Financial Assets Bill, 2025. Annual Macroeconomic and Fiscal. Principles for the Amendment of the Motor Vehicle Insurance, Third-Party Risks Act, 1989. Development of the National Agricultural Financing Policy. Same annual budget performance report. Half-year macroeconomic and fiscal performance report. Ministerial policy statements for financial year 2026-2027, vote 008, vote 130, and other statutory votes under Minister of Economy. Development of the National Insurance Policy, 2025. Budget Speech, 2026-2027. Principles for the amendment of the Tier 4 microfinance institutions and money. Principles for the amendment of the Anti-Money Laundering Act. Now, I want to congratulate Parliament and the Speaker for the bills which you passed, which you handled. As I said in my speech in Ruero, some of these bills helped the stability of the country, like the UPDF bill. That one was really one of the speakers. I was watching, sometimes I watch a wonderful UBC. When they are not playing football, they also give some news. Because when they have football, they forget about us. Now, I saw one of the young people, the young man is a legislator, was saying that in a company, you have got internal procedures where you can exercise administrative discipline. But if it is a crime, it must go to court. Of course, it is correct. But if UPDF is not a business company, to find a member of parliament thinking that UPDF is a business company is really a disaster. So I want to congratulate Parliament. I want to congratulate the Speaker for saving us that big problem. Because there's no way UPDF soldiers can go to the magistrate courts once they have made mistakes in the barracks initially. It's not possible. I don't think it happens in other armies. So we need some capacity building for members of parliament. To know what happens in the world. You cannot say UPDF is like a company. It's not a company. It is a very powerful pillar of the state. And it must be handled in a special way. So I congratulate the Speaker and the front bench, the ministers, and the NRM caucus, Banang NRM caucus and other allied friends who are friendly. I want to thank all of them. May the Almighty God, I therefore have the pleasure to declare the 5th session of the 11th Parliament open. I salute all of you. May God bless.
The government policy in your address to the nation and for fulfilling your constitutional obligation under Article 101(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Your Excellency and honorable members, kindly allow me to take this opportunity to recognize the presence of the former speakers and presiding officers of the Parliament of Uganda. We have the Right Honorable Francis Butagira, 1980 to 1985. We have His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the Chairman of the 1989 and 1996. Right Honorable Edward Kiwanuka Sekandi, 2001 to 2011. We have the Right Honorable Alhaji Moses Chigongo of the National Resistance Council, 1986 to 1996. We appreciate them for the contribution to strengthening the foundation on which legislature stands today. May the good Lord bless all of you, because we are where we are because of you. And we'll also leave it for the next people who will come in. We take cognizance of the government's legislative agenda for the 5th session, and we pledge our utmost commitment to the 11th Parliament to prioritize the government business and expeditiously and exhaustively consider all the government business before any other business. Honorable members, pursuant to Rule 26(1) of the Rules of Procedure, we will allot time at a later date for an exhaustive debate on the President's address on the state of nation. Honorable members, His Excellency the President will be back on Thursday, 12th June 2025 to deliver the budget speech. I want to invite all of you kindly to be here to receive the budget, and we want to thank all the ambassadors who are here. We are very grateful that you're here and that you honored our invitation. I there want to ask members, please be here to receive the budget. Remember, one of your roles is appropriation. You did appropriate, and now you're here to receive, you will be here to receive the budget. I want once again thank Your Excellency the President and all the dignitaries who have made it here. And thank you in a special way. Go to Mama Janet Kataha Museveni for accompanying President for this State of Nation address. May the good Lord bless all of you. And as we wish you success in your election during this elective season.
Adjournment.
The House is adjourned to Thursday, 12th, 2025 at 2 p.m.
The anthems.